What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is addressing a request put out by William, and he asked me to focus in on the differences in defense between small gloves, either karate combat, which are 5.5, or MMA gloves, which are 4 ounce. I've competed in both of those, compared to the boxing, kickboxing glove, which is the traditional style, which most of you guys train in at about, whatever it is, 8 to 16 ounces. How does your defense change, and what do you need to note and be aware of between these different glove sizes? We're gonna look at kicks, we're gonna look at punches, we're gonna talk about it all today. This is an important episode to be here for, because not only does it make a big difference in competition which glove size you're wearing, but if you're used to defending yourself on this, and then one day you have a street fight, you need to remember that it's not the same thing. And just in my last karate combat fight, where I was using the small gloves, I realized very quickly that everything is going to change when I can no longer take this cushy part of the glove, which in the MMA glove is knuckles, and place that against my head. It's going to be very dangerous when you do that. So let's break down how you go about changing your defense with this much smaller glove. So keep in mind, let's start off, we're going to punches. Traditionally, when somebody throws a punch at you, you can use that Dutch style guard to just keep everything snug. You can just guard up your head and use this padding to ride off the forehead and just make a solid concrete kind of turtle shell, which you are very safe behind. You can still do that in MMA, but you definitely do not want to keep your fists closed. So that is why when I did my karate combat fight, you saw me go open palm to the head. So I can still utilize that same shelled up position, except now I don't have that exact cushion, but it's much better than those knuckles bouncing off my head. Number one, I don't have the same protection from that cushion, so I might actually get jarred. But number two, you can actually cut yourself. If there's any disconnect and somebody hits you, you're gonna get banged. And then of course, look at the difference between the protection behind my head here versus here. I'm so much more protected with that big glove. So if you are going to utilize a classic guard up position, make sure you go palms open, because you can spread your hand out a little wider if needed to protect more of your head. But in addition, you don't risk those upper knuckles digging into your head and potentially cutting you. Now that's if you want to utilize the same tactics, but even better is to lengthen your hand out. With the boxing glove, the hand can stay quite tight, but with MMA gloves, it might be better to have your hands out here. In addition to that, you want to rely on head movement much heavier than you might with these gloves. Now, you didn't see me do that loads in my last fight, but I just wanted to get in there and do what I always do, fight the way I always fight, and that's hands up and minimal head movement for me. I will try and make adjustments for the next fight, but anybody out there, start working that head movement. Start getting the head off the center line when you throw punches and when punches are thrown at you. If you do that, then you don't have to worry about this tight guard, which eventually is going to lead you to trouble if you only have this as your defense. Now, something else you're going to learn very quickly with the smaller gloves is throwing the long combinations is more dangerous than it might be with these. The longer combinations are going to lead to counters. If I keep throwing, eventually the guy's gonna counter me. If he doesn't counter me, he's no good. So when I'm throwing with these small gloves over and over and over, I have to recognize my head is more exposed. So it's better off sometimes if I just go 1, 2, 3 and get the exit with the smaller glove. Shorter combos makes more sense when you're rocking the 4 ounce or 5.5 karate combat glove. Now let's talk quickly about the kick defense. Something that you may have seen on my channel already was a few months ago, might even be about 6 months ago now, Liam Harrison, amazing Muay Thai fighter, he fought in Muay Thai with small gloves. He kept his hand up, somebody came to kick at him, he went to grab it. But because of the small glove and the foot banging against there and less padding, he actually went down off a proper defensive block. So we need to recognize that just going here and trying to catch is very dangerous. So you may want to switch up your tactics for blocking kicks. Maybe go double arm, maybe keep your hands high and focus on catches like that as opposed to like this. You need to keep all of this in mind. And in addition, recognize that it is much easier to trap front kicks or side kicks with these gloves. In my opinion, when I've sparred with them, I go, ooh, it's really easy to hook and grab tight, as opposed to the bigger glove where it's easier for the opponent to slip out because I don't have the same grip. So if you're somebody who likes to utilize catching, these small gloves might be beneficial for you. And if I can leave you with one major thought, one big takeaway from today's episode about glove size and defense, it's remembering that defense does not always have to be blocking shots. You can step backwards. That's a defensive move. As soon as somebody comes towards you, you push back and you've created space. If people miss, you are utilizing defense. With the smaller gloves, I think it's very smart to be very reliant on footwork as opposed to standing and trying to block shots with this. If you have stellar defense, you're very confident in your defense, absolutely. You can go about defending with these the way Nate Diaz does, just hands up to his head occasionally, block, block, block. You're going to take more punishment for it. But that's why we see so many MMA fighters utilize strong footwork in their fights when they have these smaller gloves. They don't want to stand in the pocket and turtle shell and have something slip by. So although it might not technically in your mind be defensive work, footwork absolutely is, especially the pushback. Practice very often in sparring. Just as soon as you see movement, create distance, create distance. I utilized this a little bit in my last camp. Didn't execute as much in the fight because I sort of went back to that muscle memory. But in camp, it's not normal for me to back up. And when I did it, I went, oh my gosh, this is so much easier. Instead of worrying about blocking shots, I just wait for the guy and I see any movement and I just push back. And even better, if you can push back and then start executing counters, that's spectacular. But these are the big differences which I have noted in terms of defense. Catching, a little easier. Trapping and taking a shot off one arm, very dangerous. Start noting all of these. Utilize more head movement, more footwork. And if you do that, when you go to fight in these gloves, you should feel strong in your defense. You should get the win. And that's all I want to talk with you guys about today. Fast episode. I've got renovations happening around the house. So busy between YouTube, training, teaching, and renos. I will try to keep up on my content, and I appreciate everybody who tunes in every day. If you enjoyed the episode, please give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. As always, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.